Good morning, geometry students. This is a 15-minute video on the chapter 2, 4 to 2, 7. It's actually 2, 8. Review sheet. So the first problem is y is bzy congruent to xzd. So bzy is here and xzd is here. Okay, and those are vertical angles. So that is B. The next one says if angle 1 is congruent to angle 3, so angle 1 is congruent to angle 3, and angle 1 is supplement to angle 2, so angle 2 is supplement there, and angle 3 is supplement to angle 4, why is angle 2 congruent to angle 4? Well, because their supplements of congruent angles are congruent. All right, so that one's A. Let me erase some of this. Oops. All right, moving on to the next one. It says if AX and YC are congruent, and AD and BC are congruent, why is XD congruent to BY? And that is subtraction. All right, so we're getting a smaller one. We started off with a bigger one, and we're getting a smaller one, so that's subtraction. All right, now let's keep moving on here. This is only going to be 15 minutes, so hopefully I can get as much done as I can. 7 and 5 are equal, so here's 7 and here's 5. 6 and 8 are equal. 6 and 8 are equal. Why is BAD congruent to BCD? And that is addition, right? So that is the addition property. That is D. All right, next question says if angle 7 is congruent to angle 5, so this one and this one, and angle 1 is congruent to angle 3, well, that's kind of weird, but angle 3 is congruent to angle 5, why is 1 congruent to 7? That is what is known as the transitive property. So that's C. All right, if BY, let me shrink this a little bit. If BY and XD are equal, so BY and XD, so here's BY and here's XD, and XD and ZC are equal, so XD and ZC, where ZC are equal, why is CZ congruent to BY? Well, that's another example of transitive property. All right, so that's C as well. And we'll erase some of this, and we'll move on to the next one. It says if BAD and BCD, so BAD and BCD are right angles, boom, 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 boom. And that means 6 and 5 are complementary. That means 6 and 5 are complementary, and 7 and 8 are complementary. And angle 5 is congruent to angle 7. Why is 6 congruent to 8? Because they're complements of congruent angles, 6 and 8. So complements of congruent angles are congruent. That's E. Alrighty, so yeah, awesome. Moving on. This is an always, sometimes, or never. If it's always true, it's true. If it's only sometimes true, it's true. And if it's false, it's never true. So if angle P is 100 degrees, then angle P has no complement. That's always true because the complement of an angle is always going to be less than 90 degrees. So that one's always true. All right, vertical angles are supplementary. That's sometimes true. Vertical angles can be supplementary if they're both 90 degrees. See the opposite V's? Okay, these two angles here and here are vertical angles, and they are supplementary. So that's sometimes true. An obtuse angle has a supplement. That's always true. two vertical angles have a ratio of 3 to 2. That's never true because vertical angles are congruent. And a ratio of 3 to 2 means they are not congruent. Okay, so so I'm continuing the recording. I just want to make sure because I wasn't sure if it stopped or not. But anyway, this number 12 says the bisectors of vertical angles are opposite rays. That's always true, and it works like this. Okay, so here's two vertical angles. See them? This one and this one. There's two vertical angles. Now, if I bisected this one, and then I bisected the other one, right? Cut the angles in half, that means bisect. These two would be opposite rays. The bisectors of vertical angles are opposite rays is always true. So the last two is never and always. All right, so this one says this is a right angle. They're perpendicular. So this plus this equals 90. And angle 1 is p squared plus 62. And angle 2 is 3p. So p squared plus 62 plus 3p equals 90. Well, that's a quadratic, so p squared plus, that's a plus 62, plus 3p minus 28 equals 90, or equals 0, because I subtracted a 90. So p plus 7 times p minus 4 equals 0. So p equals negative 7, p equals 4. Now, we can throw out the negative in this problem because when we multiply it by 3 over here, we get a negative number. So p is equal to 4. Now we want to find the measure of angle 2. We multiply it by 3, and we get 12 degrees. All right, moving on. Very good. And then the next problem says the measure of an angle is 6 less than 3 times the measure of the complement. The measure of an angle is x. Its complement is 90 minus x. So x equals, that word is means equals, x equals 6 less than 3 times the complement. So 3 times the complement minus 6. So x equals 270 minus 3x minus 6. So 4x, after I add the 3, is equal to 266. 64, sorry. Yeah, 64. Okay? So x is equal to 260 divided by 4, which is 66. So the measure of the angle is 66. Its complement is 90 minus 66, which is 24. The next problem, it says one of two complementary angles is 18 less than the other. So one is x, and the other is 90 minus x. So it's equal to 90 minus x minus 18. So 2x, after I bring the x over, equals 72. X equals 36. So one of the angles is 36, and the other angle is 54. All right, moving on. 3 angles whose sum is a straight angle are in the ratio 7, 9, 11. Straight angle. That's 180 degrees. So 7x plus 9x plus 11x equals 180 degrees. Now this is 27x equals 180. So what you have to do is divide, and you will get 180 divided by 27. And you get 6.6 repeating. And you substitute this value into this x, and this x to find the measure of each angle. And you can check the answer key for that. Check the answer key because I'm out of time. I'm running out of time for this video, and I want to get to as much as I can. I might even have to do 2 videos, so I'm at 11 minutes right now. Okay, and I think the answer key is on the Schoology page. I believe it's right here, actually, so that the answer to that problem is here, here, and here. So it's on the answer key. All right, and moving on to problem number 17, says solve for y in terms of x. So we know that the facts give us vertical angles here, and vertical angles are congruent. So I decided I'm going to do another videos here. So vertical angles are always congruent. Now, these two are set up like this. 5x minus y equals x minus 4. There is an invisible 1 right there in front of the y, so be careful. And you get 5x. Yeah, well, what you're going to get is you got to solve for y. Solve for y. All right, so that means my y went away. That means this y right here, you have to get by itself. And that's going to require you to subtract the 5x first. And then you have negative 1y is equal to negative 4x minus 4. If we divide all the terms by negative 1, that will be how we solve for y in terms of x. Y equals 4x plus 4 is what we should get for the answer for that math problem, number 17. All right, the next problem is going to be a system of equations. I can tell already because I see y's and I also see x's. Okay? So for this problem, the facts are that this angle and this angle are a straight angle. So I can add these two expressions together to get 180 degrees. So I'll do that. Okay, so I'm going to get 3x minus 2y plus x minus y equals 180. Now, the next fact is that this angle and this angle are vertical angles. And that makes these two expressions equal to each other. So that gives us 3x minus 2y is equal to 2x plus 10. We have to make this system of equations sort of line up, right? So we have ax plus by is equal to c, and then we have dx plus ey is equal to f. So we try to get the x's lined up and the y's lined up, and then the numbers over here. All right, and I'm going to do that on my next video because I'm out of time on this one, and it'll be 2 parts, okay?